right,
Beth.
Thank you so much, Beth. Beth Hersman from the Red Cross this morning.
New home video just into Channel 3 this morning captures the violence and shocking suddenness as a hijacked jet crashes into the World Trade Center yesterday morning. That was the first one, not the second one from yesterday. Video of the very first plane. Here we are 24 hours later. The search and rescue effort is just beginning. Good morning, everyone. We are coming up on 7 o'clock, the day after a horrible day in New York and Connecticut and nationwide.
Now, across Connecticut and across the country, Americans are waking up today to try and go back to something resembling a normal life.
It is very difficult. One of the headlines from the newspapers today, the Boston Globe, a new day of infamy, which is what we're facing today. Also, act of war, some of the other headlines. It's that kind of day. It's been almost 24 hours since the worst act of terrorism this country's ever seen, but already people are coming together to pull through and help out however they can. In
New York City, rescue crews will continue to search the rubble from the collapsed World Trade Centers this morning in hopes that survivors from the crash will be found. Mayor Rudolph Giuliani yesterday said an estimated 7,000 people were accounted for after two hijacked planes hit the towers. Obviously, yesterday, one of those hijacked jets hit the Pentagon. Up to 800 people killed in that. Let's get the latest live from Jennifer Jones.
Well, on this day after the attacks, information is surfacing that the intended target here in Washington was the White House, not the Pentagon. Still, the way in which the plane crashed left a gaping hole and claimed hundreds of lives. Now, nearly 24 hours later, smoke is still coming from the Pentagon. And this is just a part of the worst terrorist attack in U.S. history. This is the scene as crews continue to search for survivors and victims. A thick coating of dust covers the wasteland of twisted steel and rubble, the remains of what was once a shining symbol of America. Just yesterday, the screams of panic and faces of horror were like scenes from a movie. Real-life terror as two hijacked airliners carrying scores of passengers slammed into the Twin Towers of New York's World Trade Center.
Chaos. It's just chaos out here, it really is. So the Twin Towers fall. It's amazing. It's crazy.
Meanwhile, in Washington, the Pentagon also came under attack when a third hijacked plane crashed into the sprawling military complex, killing as many as 800 people. And yet, a fourth hijacked passenger plane was reduced to rubble after it crashed south of Pittsburgh, a final blow that may have spared the presidential retreat of Camp David, the alleged target. In the aftermath, President Bush made it clear that justice will prevail for those who are responsible.
We will make no distinction between the terrorists who committed these acts and those who harbor them.
Back in New York, emergency crews are working at their grim task. While the full extent of the damage and loss of life remains unknown, the heart of America has been changed forever. Rescue workers have set up a makeshift morgue outside of the Pentagon as they bring bodies from the debris. Meanwhile, sources say the FBI is searching sites in Central and South Florida where information has turned up, placing supporters of Osama bin Laden on the crashed jets. That is the latest live from Washington. I'm Jennifer Jones. Now back to you.
All right, thank you so much, Jennifer, for that live report.
Thanks, Jennifer. Still ahead, information on blood drives. We're going to have phone numbers to check on the Pentagon, also phone numbers for the airlines, plus the latest on getting in and out of New York. Lots of things to talk about for today and this morning. Right now, though, Governor John Rowland is getting ready to address the state from the Office of Emergency Management.
And Channel 3's Kara Sunland is at the Armory in downtown Hartford, and she joins us now from there with the very latest. Good morning, Kara.
Good morning. I should tell you the governor has not yet arrived, although he was supposed to, at least we were told, speak at 7 o'clock. We're now told he's arriving any minute and that he will have to be briefed first in the fish tank by his commissioners. So we will wait here for his address. though we have heard the theme of his speeches have been that he wants people to pull together and be there for New Yorkers. If we could look at some of the video that you can see just over the box of me, that the pictures are still chilling, and we're starting to hear some of the stories, like the Easton man who was on the telephone with his father on the cell phone saying, "Oh my God, I think this plane is being hijacked," just before his plane crashed into the World Trade Center. These are the kind of things that are starting to make this story hit home among all of us here and all of us out in the public. The governor, for his part, has promised any kind of help. He has 20 pieces of heavy machinery sitting on the state line ready to go into New York to help with the rescue effort. Our hospitals are open to all those who need him, and he is calling on people to donate blood and be strong for their neighbors.
I believe that the people of Connecticut have the faith and the resolve to get through this crisis and to help our neighbors in New York, and I'm counting on them. This will be Connecticut at its best, reaching out to our neighbors and to our Connecticut residents that have been impacted by this tragedy.
Yesterday, the governor spoke from Stamford train station. He had arranged for several buses to help pick people up who were coming in from New York. As we mentioned, 28,000 people commute there every day on the trains, let alone on the highways. Today, he wants things to be a little bit more normal. Again, all the state offices are going to be open, all the federal buildings, the courthouses, and he's encouraging people to go back to work and school and show that America can stay strong even after something that has shaken us so badly.
Last night, and his basic theme was, our schools are safe, go back to school today, go back to work, and let's get on with business.
He has assured us that the FBI has been monitoring Connecticut and that at no time were we under threat. He has reiterated over and over again that Connecticut is safe.
All right, thank you so much, Kara. Kara Senlin, live in downtown Hartford, and we'll check back in with you when the governor arrives.
Thanks, Kara. Much of Connecticut's effort is centered this morning in the effort to help Stamford.
Some of the wounded were brought from the city to Stamford Hospital, and this morning, volunteers and others going into New York City are gathering there. Channel 3's Kevin Hogan has been in Stamford all this morning. He joins us now live again. Good morning, Kevin.
Good morning, David. Good morning, Ellie. From this vantage point here, it appears there are fewer rail commuters heading into New York today. Obviously, coming out of New York City yesterday, Stamford is the first major stop. And here in Fairfield County, the local hospitals were ready to care for the injured.
Best assurance for those who returned home last night were the welcoming arms of loved ones. That scene repeated over and over. Nearby, the National Guard stood ready to assist with help from a command post set up by the Office of Emergency Management. At Stamford Hospital, trauma teams provided aid for several of the injured, including Lenore Lloyd, who witnessed the catastrophe from nearby at Chase Plaza. Fragments of debris lodged in her eye.
I found my way blindly. I was like blind. I was covered. The people saw me when I went into the church. They probably saw this woman came from a grave. I was just like covered with this white stuff.
And one other note here from Stamford, we understand there are counselors ready and available at both the local hospitals and community centers to help those cope with which was for them a real living nightmare. Dave, Ellie?
To say the least. Thank you very much, Kevin. Kevin Hogan live this morning in Stamford.
Now, hundreds of firefighters were killed yesterday while they were trying to save others at the World Trade Center. In a show of solidarity, 22 Hartford firefighters have packed up and driven down to New York to do what they can to help. Before they left, the chief warned them their jobs will be hard.
Where you are going, you're going to see, I'm sure, thousands of people have lost their lives. Hundreds of them will be your brothers and sisters in the fire service. It is not going to be easy on you. I want you to keep yourself safe.
Hartford firefighters brought a ladder truck and rescue equipment. An EMS coordinator from Hartford Hospital is also in New York City this morning helping out.
The Connecticut National Guard is also sending help to New York this morning. We're told more than 60 medics are headed to Manhattan in 37 military ambulances called boxes. The convoy is staging in the Stamford-Norwalk area.
Now, many of you are probably wondering what you can do to help, and the answer is give blood.
The Red Cross is sending out an urgent call for blood, and that need is certainly going to persist not only today, but in the weeks to come, as hopefully more survivors will be found. Many in Connecticut lined up to answer that call yesterday. Close to 500 people crammed through the doors of the Red Cross in Farmington to donate blood or ask how they can help.
A list of blood drives in Connecticut today is available on our website at WFSB.com, or you can call the Red Cross at 1-800-HELP-NOW. And the local Salvation Army is also accepting donations of non-perishable goods. For more on that, call 1-800-SAL-ARMY. Now, this is not the first time the World Trade Center has been a target of terrorism.
Our own Scott Haney was working at the top of one of the Twin Towers when it was bombed by terrorists back in 1993. Remarkably, he was blocks away yesterday in Midtown when the horrible event happened yesterday. Scott, you're live again this morning from Midtown, right?
Yeah, it's pretty incredible. Well, actually, we're a little bit further downtown. We're on the corner of 6th Avenue and West Houston Street, which is further into the Village area. Peter McHugh, our photographer, was out shopping this morning and figured he's in New York City. He's going to get some postcards. I just want to show them to you because I think it's unbelievable. This is the first one. Okay, now, yesterday, less than 24 hours ago, these buildings, those two big ones right there, they were standing there. Let's go to the next one. Manhattan at night, it says the top of the world. These buildings are no longer there. None of the surrounding buildings will be there either, according to demolition teams, because they have been so destructively destroyed in the debris. Another one, nice long shot from Central Park here. Got the Twin Towers in the foreground. Looks like a beautiful, beautiful day. Here's a shot from Statue of Liberty, and you've got the Twin Towers. It blows my mind to think that these buildings in about 20 minutes came down. Come on in, I want to talk to you. What's your name?
Richard.
Tell me, when you saw these postcards, what did you think?
I couldn't believe it.
Where are you from?
I'm from right here, the Bronx.
And did you see any of this happening yesterday?
Yeah, I was working security down by Wall Street, and this lady just came into the building. Oh, she was crying. She's like, oh my God, oh my God. And so me and this other security guard, we stepped outside, we looked up, and what it looked like, it was just a fire. So he went back in. I started to walk towards the buildings until I got a good view of both of them. And all of a sudden, all I heard was this big plane just coming. It sounded so near, I felt it. And then it just ran right into the tower number 2.
Let me, in all of your, how old are you?
I'm 20 years old.
Can you imagine the World Trade Towers crashing to the ground?
I'm telling you, I've never seen that. All I thought was a movie, but it's completely different from that because it's real. You know, you feel it. And it was incredible. I don't know what to say.
Thank you for talking to us. We really appreciate it. That is basically the sentiment of residents, people who have lived in Manhattan their entire lives. We're looking up at a skyline where, from our vantage point, you would normally see the World Trade Towers. They're not there anymore. And I know I just keep saying it over and over again, but it's just surreal. People yesterday, I'm on 2nd Avenue, and I was reporting live from there, 20th and 2nd Avenue. There was a van moving down the street with a bullhorn. Please give blood. I'm like, am I in the depression? Am I in the world? Are we in a world war here? What? It was just unbelievable. Food cartons. Behind us, there's a park. It's used for children and adults to play basketball. It is now filled with Poland Spring water to give the rescue workers their food for the day. And every park that I have seen has become either a parking lot for rescue vehicles or it is being stored and used for food facilities. So Manhattan, a very different flavor here. And even as you get further away uptown, either on the east side or the west side, I had an opportunity to rollerblade down the middle of 2nd Avenue yesterday because there was no traffic. And that's how I got around Manhattan yesterday on rollerblades, because there was no other way to get around. Subways were closed, no cabs. And it was just surreal. The people were all walking around saying, we live here. Could this really be happening to us? So David and Ellie, just quite an unbelievable scenario.
Scott, you're a denizen of New York. It must make you proud to see all of these people who are coming forward to help out without giving it a second thought.
Okay, yesterday, this brings a smile to my face, one of the many visions I saw. I'm rollerblading home after, it was about 7:20, it was dusk, but you could still make people out. And out of the distance comes a doctor on rollerblades, stethoscope in scrubs, going to the hospital. And I don't even think she was going to her own hospital. And I just looked up and I smiled and she smiled and we both laughed and we said, we're New Yorkers, we're from Connecticut, we're from New England, we're going to get through this, and we're going to get through it together, and every single one of us can help in our own way, whether it's giving blood, talking about it, picking up a phone and calling a resident here, and just, or a relative or someone that you may know who's going to be affected. Just keep the lines of communication open, because it's what's going to be, you can't bury this. You have to open it up and talk about it in order for this to start to heal.
That's a great story.
Thank you so much, Scott. Scott Haney in New York City this morning. It's great to know that in the midst of tragedy like this, that people are really bonding together.
Absolutely. It's really